On June 12, 2009, Iran held a highly contested presidential election. With one of the largest voter turnouts in Iranian history, Iranians headed to the polls in full force, many of the votes being cast for one of two candidates. In this corner, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the conservative incumbent, and in this corner, his main competitor, Mir Hossein Mousavi, a moderate reformist weighing in with the support of the wealthy and youth votes. Shortly after polls closed, Mousavi claimed victory, but so did Ahmadinejad. At this point, there was no clear winner. Let's go to the judges. June 13th, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, declared Ahmadinejad the victor. Mousavi and his peeps called fraud. In the wake of the results, tech-savvy Iranians utilized a relatively new digital tool called Twitter to discuss the election results and organize protests. Twitter is kind of like the child of blogging and texting. Anyone can sign up through twitter.com. You can send a message called tweets from your phone or a computer. Each message can only be 140 characters, which forces Twitterers to be concise and use shortened links to direct followers to other sites. You can follow people, and they can follow you. If you like a tweet someone else has published, you can retweet it to your own feed. The Twitterverse can get noisy, so Twitter users assign hashtags to tweets in order to organize what would otherwise be an overwhelming data stream. Twitter was hailed for being a radically democratic tool that enhanced public conversation and gave voice to a repressed people, and as a distraction that undermined democratic dialogue. Here's 4 reasons A is justified when thinking about how Iranians use Twitter. 1. Iran was a black hole for news. The government in Iran runs a pretty tight ship when it comes to the news media. Censorship of broadcast media is easy and regular. In the run-up to the elections, foreign reporters were given the boot. The Iranian government shut down access to Facebook and blogging sites before the election, likely pushing more users to Twitter where censorship was more difficult. 2. Reporters did not eat their Wheaties. While CNN was reporting about cats stuck in trees, many protests were happening in Iran, organized in part through Twitter. Twitterers began criticizing the media gatekeepers by using the hashtag CNNFail to pressure the network to cover the controversy kicked up in the election's aftermath. 3. Twitter fueled global and immediate kumbaya feelings. The ability of Twitterers to circulate their tweets to a worldwide audience hungry for immediate news created a global public fixated on unfolding events in Iran. 4. Retweeters multiplied the power of word of mouth. Retweeters amplified key tweets, directing followers and other media toward the top tweets. Retweets helped spread the word about the Iranian Revolution. It allowed people who weren't following the major tweeters to hear the news from other people who retweeted the important updates. Retweets acted as a megaphone for the tweets coming out of Iran, amplifying their message and acting as a tool to facilitate organizing. When everyone has access to publication tools, there are some predictable problems. How do you know when a tweet is credible? How do you know if a tweet is representative of deeper and broader feelings? How do you prevent corporations and governments from tweeting mis- and disinformation? And how do you filter through the cloud of tweets to pick the best ones? Does information overload short-circuit the usefulness of Twitter? Perhaps, but Twitter's ultimate reliance on networked communication technology enables some novel ways to organize this multitude of tweets. And being a complex communications network introduces some additional advantages. 1. Survivability. Twitter gives a voice to pretty much anyone with internet access, and this increases the number of people able to articulate their opinions. If the government stopped one person from tweeting, others could pick up the slack. This made it harder to silence the protests, and thus increased the survivability of this social movement. 2. Flexibility. Twitter could adapt to various uses throughout the post-election protests. It could host debates about protest strategy, publicize various oppositional discourses, and point to interesting links. Global publics no longer had to be held hostage by the agenda setting of the Bill O'Reillys and the Keith Olbermanns of the world. 3. Scalability. The Iran election was an opportunity to showcase how digital networks can expand to accommodate more intense discussion. Iranian Twitterers with few followers saw their followers balloon in number very quickly. They were thus able to form rallies and protests quickly and efficiently with the confidence that they would succeed. But this same network form that holds advantages comes with some associated risks, namely surveillance. When you're texting, you assume you're anonymous. That's what the citizens of Tehran thought when they texted, used Twitter, and YouTube. But someone was watching, monitoring the network, paying attention to the IP address, looking at the faces and pictures, and taking action.